Hey everyone, we are here now with the second month update of our live account here. It's been pretty cool. Just this last month alone, we did almost 4.5%. And now for the 2 months that it's been running since late December, now up over 8%. We've had some craziness over the past few months with the trade wars, Greenland, and now the Supreme Court striking down the tariffs. A lot of crazy things have been happening. I haven't touched this at all. It just runs by itself. I don't have to touch anything. It handles all the trade. We got some really cool things to show you, especially what happens when a position gets stuck for over 30 days. When that happens, we do these micro tradings. We call it smart trade timing, but it will start selling positive trades and rebuying. So while that's stuck, we're still generating profit. And what's cool is last week alone, that particular bot, and I'll show you, generated more profit than any of the exits had. So it all works in our favor. So let's go ahead and jump in and we'll see how things are going. So we now have been running this, as I mentioned, for 2 months. And what we can see, we started with $51,000. Let's go back in time to December 22nd, started with just a little over 51,000. And right now, our balance is $55,345. That is a gain of 8.2%. So again, didn't touch it at all. I didn't have to manage anything. I didn't have to change anything. The system has just run and handled a couple of these big downswings and the volatility that we've seen in the market over the past couple of months. So zooming in on, for the most part, the month of February and the last week or so of January, we can see we did just shy of 4.5%. We had $77 in transactions. This is the interest paid to us for our unused margin. So if you're ever interested, you can always just hover over your balance and it'll tell you exactly what the Epic Flow algorithm has generated. So 4.3% for that duration. And if we look, we don't have a 2-month little clicker, but if you go back 3, you can see the last 2 months, that's generated just a bit over $4,000, so just shy of 8%. Let's go ahead and look at our bots that are currently running. We've had a handful of exits this week already. It's Tuesday, and we can see that the US dollar Swiss franc, it had an exit yesterday. Euro USD had an exit about 3.5 hours ago. The USD Canadian, we'll get to that in a second. The Canadian Swiss franc, that hasn't had an exit in 22 days. And Euro CHF also had an exit Sunday. So what I wanted to highlight, though, is when we have a pair that is running for over 30 days. So this has been running for 39 days. And if you look back at the videos from a few weeks ago, you'd see that the margin used was a little bit higher and our minimum expected profit was over $200. But what we can see here is, and it may be a little bit of an eyesore, but when that 30-day mark hit, so this started on January 16th, so right around February 15th, you can see that we issued a sell order. So the way to read these charts, any of these that have an open circle, these are open buy orders. So they're still open on Oanda. Any closed circle is a closed buy order. So when these sell orders happen, it will close out the open orders here that are in profit. So we can see that this has been happening over the past couple of weeks. And you may notice that we have a little red one right here, and that is well below 30 days. What happened here, and I believe I mentioned this as well, is we break these runs into phases. Each bot runs 4 phases. And if it gets into the 4th phase, meaning it's consumed margin that is taking it into its 4th phase, it will then start selling off profitable trades to bring it back down into at least the 3rd phase. So this is all part of the system, the algorithm, and how it works. We do have explanations and knowledge base if you're interested. The general idea is we don't want these bots in phase 4 because it just has a lot more risk management and steps down a bit in what it's purchasing, and it pauses the other bots, etc. So we want them to stay in phase 3, so it keeps the activity going. But if it does hit phase 4 and doesn't get out of it, we do have the risk management and everything else to help manage your account. So we have bought and sold a number of these trades during this period. And what we've seen, and I'll just go and look at last week's update, and we can see here that we've had a number of exits. We had EuroCAD had 1 exit, Euro USD had 6, the USD Swiss franc had 5 exits. The Canadian Swiss franc, Euro Swiss franc, and USD Canadian has not had any exits during that week. But again, generating profit for us through the finance credits. But we can see here that the USD Canadian had a gain of $173 in addition to the finance paid to us. So $183 for that week ending February 20th. So for that week, we generated a little over 0.5% return. And if we go and look at our Awanda platform, and this is the activity, and I sorted on the market here, so we can look at the USD Canadian. So if we look at the USD Canadian starting on February 15th, we can see here that we started issuing some sells. So we've closed these trades and generated profit. It allows us to capture some of this growth when the markets are relatively stagnant for that position, but maintain the algorithm and let it keep buying and growing and building back up. So it's a great way, if you are stuck, generate growth while we're waiting to exit. We also, during this past month, we've had a couple of our bots stop, and that's part of the AutoPilot system. They were no longer part of the pairs. So they had a successful exit. They didn't start, and new bots have started, like the Euro CHF. So we had Australia CHF had its final exit, gain of 10%. We had EuroCAD. I think this one just completed the other day. Come in here and look. Yeah, so February 19th, this one exited, and that was no longer part of our system, so it didn't restart. So really happy with the performance that we have here, and we'll let this continue to grow, and hopefully within the next few weeks, it'll be up over 10% and continue. The other important item to note is as we have exits and the balance increases, we auto reinvest those profits back into the system. So with this system guided max margin and in autopilot mode, so if there's an exit, it will go and recalibrate and distribute the max margin to use based off of that 60% of the new balance. So it compounds that growth and will continue. So you'll see in your bots that the max margin to use will constantly increase as you have exits. It will be small increments unless you have a very large exit, but it will continue to exit and grow. So good progress. We're happy with the returns that we have. It is also important to note that if you do set up a demo account, I highly encourage you guys to do that. After 90 days, we'll send you an email to extend that for another 90 days. And if all you have to do is click this button, it will extend it. And in another 90 days, you'll get an email and you'll have to keep doing that. If you're no longer interested, you can delete your demo on the system itself, or just choose not to extend it and it will purge out of our system for you. Yeah, this week we've already had a handful of exits on our live account. Our demo account's going well as well. And we're excited to continue doing this. It may be a little boring, not having to watch a chart all day, but it's something we like to do. Okay, happy trading, and we'll see you soon.